Hello, friends. Welcome to the last stream that we're doing for Kaiju Deep Dive, Sad Face. I'm really excited to do this one, especially because I feel like creating fan-made kaiju is like the heart of our creative investment in the franchises that we love as dearly as we love, because it demonstrates our original thinking and how we want to essentially construct our stories and our characters. So I'm going to be joined here in a couple of minutes by my dear friend Ellen. And the truth is, Ellen is the aficionado when it comes to creating original kaiju. All right, but I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about my own strategies for a little bit as well. So far, I see Red Griffin here. I see Maddie here. It's good to see both of you. Thank you for joining me. Hello again. If there are any Kaiju Galaxy members that don't get to see this now, just remember that you can play it through, or if you don't have time to watch it now, you'll be able to play it through. So just keep that in mind. All right. So I'm just going to wait for a moment to see if anybody else tunes in. Don't forget also that if you comment in the chat box, you'll be able to ask questions, so on and so forth. Ellen is here. Yay!
Hello. I had, car bullshit. Put it as concisely as possible.
Never a dull moment, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do first is what I did is I went on the old Kaiju Galaxy board, RIP, and I found a couple of good resources that we put together for creating a kaiju. So I'm going to kind of go over those basics, and then if you want, you can take it away with your slideshow at that point. How does that sound?
Works for me. If you say anything that I already have in my slideshow, I can just skip it.
All right, that sounds like a plan. So, oh, Blue Ravenfire is here. Good to see you. Good. We have I'm excited to have everybody tuning in with us. So, I'm going to do a share screen, and I'm going to show you a page from the original Kaiju Galaxy site. I really miss the old Kaiju Galaxy dearly. And I think we had a lot of really cool things on there that helped people generate their own characters. All right. So obviously, when you're writing your fan fiction and you want to develop characters, it's pretty important to generate some profiles, because it helps you map out your thought process when it comes to, well, like what you want your kaiju to be, what personality, what history, so on and so forth, stats, abilities. It just allows you to kind of prepare yourself better for writing the actual piece of fan fiction. Not to mention, generating profiles can help you participate in tournaments that we might do on Kaiju Galaxy. So this is the most succinct, I think, generalized steps for creating a kaiju that I came up with a few years ago. Honestly, looking back at this forum post, this was done way back in 2012. So this is, God, 8 years old. Mind-blowing. So essentially, what I had for my steps is, step one, what I would normally do when creating my own original kaiju is I would develop some sort of personality or persona to establish, like, is this kaiju good, evil, or neutral, to kind of help me develop the moral path of the story. Step two, I would often develop a personality based on that persona. Okay, so for the personality, is it going to be peaceful, a judgmental character? Is it going to be angry, vengeful? For me, like, if I were to use Mothra as a context, because I always use Mothra as a context, in my own stories, Mothra obviously is good, but her personality, she's very much longing to live a life that's beyond just this protector status that she seems to have. Like, she wants to do something more than just that. She wants to experience something more than that. And she develops that through being exposed to these human characters, right? So that kind of is where I came up with like that personality trait that distinguishes her from the other Mothra characters or Mothra iterations that we see. Step 3, I normally create a history or a backstory to kind of give context. If your kaiju is going to be evil, if they're going to have some sort of personality trait or motivation, what is the history behind that? All right. What gives them the justification to act in the way that they act? Generating that just helps, I don't know, helps the audience visualize things a little bit more effectively. Not to mention it helps the writing process for yourself considerably. Step 4, I usually say formulating stats for the fictional creation until like later on. So like height, weight, length, wingspan, if applicable, so on and so forth. I typically do it in meters, but then I convert those into feet as well. And then last but not least, that's when I create a name. Sometimes the name of the creature might happen first, but sometimes I'll get so caught up in creating a name that I'm just like, I get so distracted by it that I just can't finish the rest of the profile, and it ends up working to my disadvantage. So that's why I always recommend like doing that last. That way you don't allow it to distract you so much that it becomes detrimental to your creative process. Maddie says, how many of us are feeling old now? Gosh, I am really feeling old. Thinking about the old Kaiju Galaxy, I realized that like this year marks, what is it? It was made in 2004. 10, 16 years. Oh my God.
I think it's finally old enough to have the Gmail account reflect its start date.
Probably.
Founding.
Yeah, like I'm just utterly astounded at how much time has passed. So, oh well, all in good fun, right?
Well, we gotta get it a car. It's KG Sweet 16.
You
We
know,
gotta get it a Lambo.
that might be a really fun live stream for us to do, Kaiju Galaxy Sweet 16. Well, we have plenty of time to plan that. That's not until November, so it'll be fun. There's been a lot of memories over the years. I think we have created a good community. It's shifted. It's been huge. It's been small. I'm grateful that we have what we have. So, all right, but I digress. Anyway, back away from my nostalgic yearnings. So, to give you an example of a profile that I've created, I'm going to do another share screen. So the most recent fanfic that I have created in its completion is Godzilla: A Heart Ruptured, which I think I did that like, when did I finish that? 2014? God, that's been 6 years ago. That's pretty bad that it's been that long since I finished a fanfic. So after I like compile my ideas, like I think it's important to structure them into some sort of a template. So this is the template that I created for myself. So I created a name for this kaiju. So I created a specific version of Mechagodzilla and I nicknamed it Argus. I, for the life of me, cannot even remember what the acronym was that I came up with. I'd have to look at my story to remember it. I'm bad, I know. I put in its code name or its abbreviation, and I strictly did this to distinguish it from other Mechagodzilla characters. I didn't want to like have to continually say Mechagodzilla throughout my story, so I created a fancy acronym to make it sound different. And of course, the type of kaiju it is, it's a mecha kaiju. I have its different statistics here, meters converted into feet. If memory serves me correctly, if you want to convert meters into feet, you have to times the metric number by 3.28 because 3.2, 3.28, that is the calculation that creates the larger number in feet. So I'm not a math whiz, but I can at least do that. So after that, I kind of branch into the kaiju's abilities. And I divided up based on offensive weaponry and defensive weaponry. That was actually something new that I did because Honestly, I had a hard time distinguishing them, and I figured that it might be easier for me to do that, especially if I incorporate any of the monsters in a tournament, right? Like distinguishing those two, like offensive versus defensive, might help me categorize things a little bit more effectively. And then, of course, I would just incorporate some brief descriptions after each of them to kind of describe what the weaponry is. I also included one called tactile weaponry, which is essentially like physically based weapons. That's again something new that I did. I don't know if I might do that in the future. I might, but it just again helps me categorize things because I love categorizing a lot. You should see my house. If I had a label maker, I would probably go crazy with it and put a label on everything. Weaknesses and vulnerabilities, appearance and personality. These things I just like, they're very basic descriptions. They don't have to be over elaborate. You can be elaborate if you want, but it's entirely up to you. And then, of course, I did incorporate history, like a little bit of context. Since this was a new fan fiction, I decided to not incorporate too much history because I didn't want it to spoil the story. And then, of course, I list of story appearances. So I'm thinking about creating a section on the main site, actually, where we can post people's fan-made kaiju. And I'm hoping that we can have like a cohesive template similar to this or similar to something that Ellen has. That way we can maybe consolidate things so they all look the same. So that's kind of what I do when I'm creating my own. So I hope that was helpful in some way. So at this point, I will pass the baton to Ellen because I know Ellen has some really cool ideas and tactics for creating kaiju of her own as well. So take it away, my friend.
Yep, I've got a PowerPoint, and this will be
I am excited because
the share screen.
I love me a good PowerPoint. Is there a share screen feature for you, or I hope that's not just something that I have?
Yeah, it looks like I'm sharing. I'll just wait for it to update on the stream here.
I think I have to add it to the stream. There we go. Can you? It might take a second. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, I'm watching the stream on YouTube, so it lags behind us. Like
Yeah, YouTube
5 seconds.
Yeah, YouTube might
Sorry,
take a second. Are you in Streamlabs? Like, I think are you in Streamlabs? Can you see like the back end of all of this?
In StreamYard.
Or did I say I meant StreamYard? Sorry, not Streamlabs.
Yeah.
Good heavens. It might be
Yeah,
easier.
I can see it in StreamYard. I'll just throw that on the other.
Oh, and everybody says that they can see it too, so perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Good. All right, so here's my neat. They have animated backgrounds for titles.
Oh my god, that is okay. That's top
spiffy.
notch. I kind of want that template.
I mean, it's just there as like one of the top ones. Or no, it's you have to add more. But anyway, so yeah, this is just kaiju creation tips and templates. So I'll start with inspirations. Most kaiju are based on reptiles or dinosaurs, but this isn't a requirement. King Kong is the most famous example of a mammalian kaiju, and Mothra is a giant moth goddess that Donny worships day and night. All living organisms are on the table. Even inorganic material can be a kaiju. Bolton from the Ultraman franchise is an anemone-like meteor that can throw enemies into another dimension. And of course, there's Hera.
An amalgamation of pollution. Yeah, exactly. Biotemplate is a plant-based kaiju. Like, there are many different things that one can do.
Mm-hmm. And then for designs don't need to strictly look like their inspiration source. Take Mukadender from Ultraman Taro. He's a centipede. That's a centipede.
What the hell?
I think I mentioned to you when I was doing.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
When I was doing all-out attack rosters, they were just like, They had to have been on drugs when they made Ultraman Taro. There's a lot of weird looking kaiju.
Maybe they were just trying to like distinguish their look from other Ultraman series, because I know like some of the looks are so recycled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so biotemplates, I got a lot of templates that I use. So here's my usual templates, and I want to actually like go in depth when I get to the fanfiction kaiju tournament templates, because I actually have based my own personal templates off of that, which I also created. So I got the kaiju name at the top, appearances, like stories that it's in, or even fan-made films. Its alignment, if it's good or evil. Its classification, like Godzilla's a saurian and stuff. Height, length, and mass I always do in metric, though like mass, metric and imperial tons aren't too far off from each other. I think it's like maybe
it's a very small number, I think.
Yeah, like 50 pounds difference. Wingspan if it has it, maximum flight speed if it can fly. Traits and abilities I have for just all of its powers that it has, and if it fights physically and stuff. Origin and history I have separate, because I think that's just easier for me.
I like that.
This is how the kaiju came to be, and then like if I don't have a history, I don't have to write it yet.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Plus, by just having origin, it might prevent you from like spoiling anything. Another thing I really like is I really like that you have appearances listed toward the top. I never thought of that. That might be a good idea too. Like if people want to go and immediately reference like a story or something, that it immediately appears and they can go do that before reading the rest of the profile.
Yeah. And then I got appearance, which is usually a description. I would like to include images. It's just like drawing hands and feet, no matter if it's a creature or a humanoid, is the bane of my existence.
Drawing anything is a bane of my existence for me.
Yeah. And then at the end, it's personality and fighting style. So I go into the kaiju's personality in and out of battle, how it fights, if it changes its demeanor during a fight, like if its opponent is fighting dirty and it usually fights with honor, that can be a problem. But like I have a decent amount of kaiju that will just like, okay, you're fighting dirty, so am I.
It's almost like there's a motivation factor in that. Like, what is the motivation of the kaiju?
Yeah, exactly. So next we got the Ultra Biotemplate, which isn't too different. Like it's mainly in the top part that we have the name and then a possible mode. Like what's a famous one? Ultraman Tiga has 3 modes.
So you can at least clarify like the mode and like what abilities are associated with every specific mode.
Yeah, exactly. And then I put the age because ultra ages are a big thing. The host or possible human disguise. Some ultras only have a human disguise and they don't actually bond with a human. And then the transformation device, like the 0 and 7 eyes, where you just set it and like push a trigger or something. Yeah. Yeah, and then appearances is the last one at the top.
It's interesting how different things become when you look in the Ultra universe. I like it though.
And then I have a biotemplate for common riders. And this is essentially the name would then be the human name, age, and then the alias would be the rider name. And then we got rider forms. I'm not sure if I'm gonna treat this like I do ultras because I've only created 4 riders right now. Only one actually has its bio completed, but I might do form specific for in case like the rider powers and weapons are a bit too varied.
Mm-hmm.
And now, fanfiction kaiju tournament Biotemplate. I actually just copied this verbatim from the topic I made on the forum. So name, self-explanatory, the name you've given your kaiju. Just because it's at the top doesn't mean you have to think of it first. Story appearances is an optional field, but you can list any stories that your kaiju appears in, be it original or fanfiction.
A classic.
Yeah, classification. This explains the type of kaiju you have. Example, Godzilla would be a Saurian, Mechagodzilla would be a mecha, Mothra would be an insect, Ultraman would be an ultra. And then kaiju can also have multiple classifications.
I'm going to post a link in the chats to Kaiju Galaxy, so if any viewers haven't joined it yet, they can go join it.
I'm just going to check the chat as well. Okay.
Hey Igni, we've just been sharing some templates and profiles for like how to like generate some ideas and creating kaiju, how to organize thoughts, so on and so forth.
Just need a quick tea break.
Nothing wrong with it. I ran out of coffee and it kind of, granted it is 2 p.m., so it's kind of wine o'clock for me, so it's time to switch.
Every hour is wine o'clock, every hour is beer 30. Every half hour is beer 30.
You know, every hour for me is actually tea and coffee o'clock too. Like the other night, my partner looked at me and he was like, "How are you drinking coffee?" It was like 8 p.m. And I was like, "I'll be fine." Anyway, I digress.
I didn't go to sleep until 2. Don't talk to me. Alignment. Is your kaiju evil and that should be bent on world destruction or domination? Or is it good and wants to save the world? Or could it just not care less? And alignment is based on the Dungeons and Dragons scale. So base alignments are good, evil, and neutral. Modifiers are lawful, believes it fights for a cause, whether good, evil, or neutral. Chaotic, does what it wants, when it wants. And true fits right in line with its base alignment.
And that definitely plays a huge role in the fanfiction kaiju tournament. I know some of you may have participated in the past. It's been a long while since we've done one, but if you haven't, what the fanfiction kaiju tournament is very much like our all-out attack tournament, but it gives people the opportunity to show off their kaiju, essentially. We get to read up on their backgrounds, their personalities, their histories, and ultimately it might even help us come up with some ideas for our own pieces, and it just serves as a celebration, you know? So I think that's another reason why I think the fanfiction kaiju tournament is so important and why the template for it is significant too.
Yeah, it can also help us discover things about our own kaiju that we haven't thought of before, and then like buff up the profile for next time.
Right. And I cannot begin to tell you how many different story ideas I've come up with based on looking at someone else's profile and being like, oh, I really should clarify that in my own, you know?
Yeah, like I came up with a story idea, a pretty pivotal story idea based on one of my battles with one of Metatora's kaiju.
Oh, yes. I think I remember you mentioning that.
6. It was the 6th tournament. When he had Mortis, that sound kaiju.
Right. I hope we can get Metatora on here one of these days. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Alright, then height. This is your kaiju's vertical measurement from the top of its head to its feet. And yeah, FFKT prefers metric for measurements. I should clarify that in the post. So many things to fix in the post. Length.
That's what keeps us fun.
Yeah. This is your kaiju's horizontal measurement from the tip of its nose to the end of its tail. Humanoid kaiju will typically only need height, while most others will find both helpful to descriptions. Mass, this is how much your kaiju weighs in metric tons. I think most people tend to go with the Toho/Godzilla scale. And then the Tsuburaya Ultraman scale is pretty similar.
Yeah, the only one that's substantially different is the Gamera series scale.
And also the Mothra trilogy.
Yeah, the Mothra trilogy.
Light.
They're very light.
Yeah. Oops, that wasn't done. Wingspan, this is the width from each wingtip for kaiju who have wings. And then we have maximum speed scales, or categories, I guess. And these are the fastest speed your kaiju can travel while flying, swimming, running, or burrowing. Flight speed is measured on the Mach scale. Swim speed is measured in knots. Running and burrowing speeds are measured in kilometers per hour. And there's 2 possible abbreviations for that. Powers are split into 3 categories: offensive, defensive, and passive. This is just really good for separating powers. And yeah, I'm kind of looking to my left, by the way, because I put the Streamlabs stuff to on my other screen.
You know, I like that in the fanfiction kaiju tournament profile that we clarify passive versus like offensive and defensive, like, because passive, like, there might be an ability that's not, it doesn't fit within the qualities of what would be offensive or defensive necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so offensive, these are abilities your kaiju utilizes to directly damage opponents. Defensive abilities are used to mitigate, sometimes even negate damage. Certain kaiju can manipulate certain defensive abilities in correlation with offensive tactics. And passive was the big one. I think it was added in the 7th tournament or something.
I think so. I think we did it because it helped us kind of gain a deeper insight in the kaiju's personality too, because depending on like its alignment, for example, it might choose to use passive moves over more aggressive things, right? And going back to the to the chat box, Igni said that I've never found the alignment system to be very helpful because it's subjective, D&D wise at least, and that makes sense because like for the tournament we use it because it just makes the personality aspect of it a little bit easier to discuss. Like if I'm writing my own fan fiction, I don't always focus on alignment, especially if it's a kaiju that wavers considerably.
Yeah. So yeah, passive traits are traits which your kaiju does not consciously think about, but they do play a role. This role is usually small, but it can be a game changer. Some general abilities considered passive are transformation, standard regeneration, permanent or near permanent hovering, auras and fields, and intelligence. So
that category definitely encompasses a lot, but it's helpful to have it so we can categorize that a little bit more succinctly.
So strengths is, yeah, your kaiju strong points. Typically it includes environments, what kaiju types it is strong against, and what weather conditions it fights best in. Because for FFKT, we try and go like all out. Like we have specific arenas, we have it set to day or night, and then we have weather conditions like hurricanes or sunny or tornado, snow.
Right.
Yeah,
And then the truth is that does matter. Like in if we've seen in the films that the setting is often significant in the outcome of the battle. And likewise, I mean, we don't really see as much emphasis on weather, but I think it's still relevant.
Mm-hmm. And then weaknesses are the exact opposite of strengths. Origin and history are combined in the Ffkt templates. I might even separate them, I'm not sure. Because I feel like origin should be required, history maybe optional.
Right.
We'll discuss this another time.
But I think it's something worth exploring for sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, even if a kaiju doesn't appear in a story, an origin is always helpful to determine how a kaiju received its personality and fighting style, as well as offensive, defensive, and passive abilities, and how strength and weaknesses developed. And then appearance is here you describe as best you can what your kaiju looks like. If possible, it is encouraged to add a picture of your kaiju. And we don't judge your artistic ability.
Right. Because most of us are not artists ourselves.
Yeah. I think there's like one person who draws kaiju art for side income, or who is an artist for side income at least.
Yeah.
And then the last part of the Ffkt biotemplate is personality fighting style. This is where you describe how your kaiju acts both in and out of combat. How is its attitude? Does it have a huge ego? Is it hesitant or apprehensive? In battle, how does it conduct itself? Does it like to finish things quickly and decisively? Or if it's evil, does it like to toy with opponents? So there's a lot to think about going into the personality and really fleshing out your kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything to add?
No, but I do have something to add for the next one when you're finished explaining it.
All right. So yeah, then the last one is a sample or demonstration battle. This is another optional field, but really helps in debates. If your kaiju appears in the story, why is that not capitalized?
Have you seen my PowerPoints? I've misspelled like 30 things.
Yeah, right. So if your kaiju appears in a story and a battle is written, share a bit of it. Show us how your kaiju fights as opposed to just telling in the section directly above. If you don't have a sample battle, you can write up a demonstration battle, typically just pitting your kaiju against an existing one for Toho or other kaiju film companies.
So this one arguably is probably one of the most difficult criteria to fill, but I still think it's extremely important to have it because it gives you the opportunity to showcase what your kaiju would do in a given situation. It gives you the opportunity to demonstrate their personality, their skills. I personally secretly hope that we make it a requirement in the future to write up a sample or demonstration battle. And in the future, what we can do, we might like post templates of our own to kind of give people an idea of what it would like include, like how it might be structured. I mean, your description already gives that, but like I want them to see a sample, a literal example one. So maybe we'll have to go in and find something like that at some point.
Yeah, we also have a question in the chat, picture-related question. Whenever I tried to upload a picture to Kaiju Galaxy, and always said the file is too big. How small do the files need to be? Actually, we very much encourage using external hosting, like Imgur or however you pronounce it.
I think that's how it's pronounced. Or like, I know PhotoBucket has like paywalls now, so you probably want to avoid that. But if you,
I think they relaxed that because, yeah, it was like $400 a year.
It's
for just the most basic sharing, and then they lost everyone. Then they're like, okay,
well, what do they expect?
We can do it for $20 a month. Please come back.
So Igni, I would definitely recommend Imgur. So what you would do is you would create an account on Imgur. It's free. You would upload your photo and then If you post something on Kaiju Galaxy, there is an image tag feature that you can use to embed that photo. So by doing that, by hosting it on another site, it's preventing the actual file size of that image to fill up Kaiju Galaxy's allotted space. And believe me, we don't have a lot of like file space.
I think our maximum file size per upload is like 3 megabytes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Because
very.
we're a free forum, so.
Yeah, like if all else fails and you can't use Imgur, what you would want to do is maybe open up Microsoft Paint, edit the photo, make it smaller, and lower the resolution when you save it. That's my only other suggestion for that.
Yeah. So, onto Ffkt regulations. This is just stuff to think about when you make your Ffkt profile. We got power level. Any insane offensive abilities, such as Omega Death Super Kill Ray, are not allowed for obvious reasons. For a kaiju to be admitted that has an insane attack, 3 options are available. One is nerf the ability. If your kaiju normally has more than 3 attacks, choose a different one. In extreme cases, your kaiju may not be permitted to participate at all.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because there was, I'm trying to remember which fan FFKT it was. I think it was like 4 or 5 where we had Kaiju Galaxy members like have a chart and they filled in like a bar on a chart like of Kaiju's power, defensive. If that helps you and you want to do something like that and include it in your profile, that would be helpful as well.
Passive abilities. Passive abilities, while able to help shape the outcome of a battle, are not to be overpowered. Traits such as auras, fields, and toxins should not incapacitate an opponent upon entering. That was a massive fight in one Ffkt. I think it was number 8. Was there an 8th tournament?
Oh, I remember that. That was a heated discussion.
Yeah, like, but it's a mecha. I have some kind of dissipation or electromagnetic field that just shuts off mechas.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that.
No, here's the thing. I know I'm like digressing again, but here is the thing that people need to remember when it comes to the fanfiction kaiju tournament. If you are submitting your own kaiju to participate, it's very important that you detach your emotional connection to your own creation because it's very possible that your kaiju might end up losing the tournament, right? Believe me, this is something I've had to learn on my own. Like all of my million zillion Mothra characters. Like I think I've only ever had one time where I've had a character win like the entire tournament, and it just when they lose, it's difficult to watch because you know we don't want to see our kaiju lose. But remember, this is also based on a voting system. Like fans debate a battle and then they vote based on their stances. So it's very much democratic.
Yeah. And then we have a regulation on invulnerability. Abilities which grant temporary immunity are allowed. However, the maximum time limit is 1 minute, and a restriction on using attacks while immune is advised. Invincibility is not allowed by any means. Invincibility, of course, meaning impervious to any and everything, while being a master of all traits. Even well-rounded kaiju have weaknesses. And again, I think that's an ego thing. Like, someone puts a bit too much of their heroic view of themselves into their kaiju.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no one can beat me. Well, someone can beat you.
Right, like you're not invulnerable. And the truth is, if any of you do decide to participate in the fanfiction kaiju tournament, like Ellen and I will be proofreading profiles. So if we discover something like this, like if your kaiju's too invulnerable, we'll say like, hey, you need to edit this section, make it a little bit more like balanced, so on and so forth. So like if you're like worried about like not knowing what to do in these specific sections, we would help you with that.
And on to the final slide, storage and organization. If you're anything like me, you can, like, I probably have 50 kaiju. So storage and organization is important to me. So your options are computer-based note-taking, such as Microsoft Word, Notepad, Pages if you're on Mac. And then there's cloud-based note-taking, such as Evernote. I love Evernote. I have used Evernote for years at this point.
Google Docs is another really good one to use. I don't think you mentioned that one yet. Google Docs is good.
Yeah. I will say Evernote did transition to more of a paid service, but you can still have it on 2 devices for free. I pay for it because I get a lot of value out of it. So
oh yeah, if you use it a lot, why not?
Yeah, so I use it on my computer, my phone, my iPad when it worked. And I want to get a laptop here at some point too.
Right. I never get enough of technology, in my opinion. So
let's think of the PowerPoint. I might also link one or share one of my bios too. You can talk while I get it.
Well, I was just gonna say, we'll make sure that if you go to Kaiju Galaxy, we're going to share all of the links and materials that we've posted for all of these different streams. That way, you can have access to it. Beyond just, these live streams. But when it comes to the fanfiction kaiju tournament, we are hopefully planning on doing one this year. It would be really fun to do it on Kaiju Galaxy again. I think it's been a couple years since we've even done one. We haven't even done one on the new Kaiju Galaxy yet, have we?
I don't think so.
So
no,
we've been
trying to do it, but then just
our big issue
interest fizzles out.
Yeah, our big issue is commitment. So, if you want to participate in the fanfiction kaiju tournament, it does take some commitment, which means that if you want to participate, you have to create profiles. You also have to participate in the conversation. So, and it's only for a few weeks. All you have to do is maybe log in a couple days, go through the conversations, post some thoughts, so on and so forth. So, anyway, back to you, Ellen. What were you going to show?
I will. I keep getting notifications. All right, let's see here.
My damn glasses are so dirty today. I'm surprised I
And
can see.
Yeah, and I think you have to authorize it again.
Okay. There we go.
So I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a bit. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
There we go. So yeah, here's my profile for Ultraman Draco, my first fan-made Ultraman series. So this is his base form. He's 23,000 years old. His host is a Russian dude named Andre, and his transformation device is the Dragon Fang, which is a fang-like object with 3 slots for crystals that he uses to access power-up forms. True good, like most ultras.
I would hope, right?
What?
I said I would hope, right?
Yeah. I do have an ultra that I'm working on that was once good, was taken over by evil, and then his series is going through the redemption arc.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. So powers and weapons, I've got a pretty good assortment of offensive and defensive stuff. The Dragonfire Ray is his standard L or plus shaped beam, like the Space beam. And then there's various other energy attacks, bracers for deflection. He can put up a fire barrier for defense. And then he has an energy core, which is like a color timer, but it will flash when he's used 75% of his power, so he's more like Ultraman Gaia and Ultraman Nexus in that respect.
Mm.
And then his origin is he's part of a tribe of ultra beings that has never had contact with the inhabitants of the Land of Light, of course, before his series. Who am I having? Ultraman Leo and Astra will appear in his series. And they coincidentally were also not from the Land of Light originally.
Now, see, what's really cool about these profiles is that they don't, like, for history and origin and appearance and stuff like that, it doesn't have to be like a dissertation. You don't have to give us like 10 paragraphs of something. It can be something that's like maybe 1 to 2 paragraphs, but as long as you describe it effectively, it will give your reader an idea of, like, it'll give them a good grasp on who your kaiju is and what their intention might be.
Yeah, and going to the chat real quick, Blue Ravenfire. Geez, I never went this in depth with my kaiju characters. I mean, I'm kind of crazy with that.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. If I'm like really like moving at a high pace and I don't have a lot of time to do like a very in-depth profile, I might do like a very basic one that like at least establishes some key points. I usually do that when I'm writing fan fiction. Like if I'm doing the tournaments, I definitely will use the more in-depth templates because again, for tournaments, people have to read them in order to make an assessment on whether or not your kaiju would win. And truthfully, the profiles that are more descriptive will help out way more than ones that are not. Mm-hmm. At least in that context.
Yeah, so then I've got his history so far is just the backstory of how he came to Earth. And then his appearance is Draco is actually green. He is, I believe, the first Ultra, even if it's just fan-made, to be green.
We need more green Ultras, in my opinion.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you've invented one.
Yeah, I think Griffin has an Ultra with yellow, at least.
Mm-hmm. Which is definitely unique in of itself.
Yeah, and then his personality and fighting style is an example of what I was talking about earlier. Ultraman Draco usually fights with honor, but if an opponent is unfair, he will reciprocate the fighting style.
So definitely has a lot of tactics that he uses.
Yeah, and then I have his arch nemesis, Stygian Draco. I just love the word Stygian, it's wonderful. It just means dark. But yeah, he's an evil clone, kind of like Dark Zagi was to Ultraman Noah. So it's kind of influenced by Ultraman Nexus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Ultraman Nexus so much.
Yeah, and so, yeah, his powers are just dark versions of Draco's. And, yeah, that's it for those two.
So, like, the truth is, like, if you want to put together a template or a profile like this, I would definitely recommend going to Kaiju Galaxy and looking at the examples that you've been shown today. Because, I mean, the truth is, those are easiest to do when you can see a physical example of them.
And Griffin, so I'm not the only one inspired by Nexus.
Ultraman,
oh, no, you're not.
Oh, God, I love it. Like, Ultraman Nexus has the correct amount of angsty for me, correct amount of me shipping characters, and the correct amount of action, and the best music that all comes together in this amalgamation of perfection, in my opinion.
I have to ask, did you ship Common and what's-his-face?
Ren. Oh, I really shipped them. And then I shipped them both with myself, so...
Donny Winter tells all.
It's perfect. And in fact, in because I've been planning on incorporating the Ultraman Nexus universe into my stories. I'm planning on having my character fall in love with one of them. I think it might be an interesting story. Of course, it'll be tasteful. It's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not. It's going to be very much a sensible, practical relationship, not a. I'm bleeding for you because I love like nothing overly emo and angsty.
A very much tokusatsu style relationship where you understand that they're in a relationship and not much more happens.
Right.
I think they've been getting a little bit more or less reserved, let's say.
I agree. I think they've just been worried about like the relationships of the human characters overpowering like the actual story. But see, to me, it's easier to do that in fan fiction because you can balance it and spread it out a little bit more. But yeah, I'm gonna fall in love with an Ultra, and I'm super excited. All right, my friends. Well,
now Iggy's interest is peaked.
Yes, good.
Oh, I guess that wasn't. Oops. Well, now it's immortalized. Sorry.
Yep, too late.
And then Maddie has the soundtrack CDs of Nexus.
I love the soundtrack.
I found the second soundtrack for like $30 once, but I couldn't even afford a $30 purchase plus shipping from Japan at the time, so I had to miss it. I still it's not really regret. I'm still sad.
Now that we're at 51 minutes, we might as well go for a full hour, right? So
yeah, I want to leave kind of shortly though.
Okay, well we can leave in a few minutes, a couple minutes then. But I just wanted to pose like if anybody else has any other questions about creating profiles, and now is the time to ask. Igny's like, you're never gonna know what I intended to type though. I think I have an idea.
Oh no.
Who doesn't like reading good gay characters, right?
We need more good gay characters.
Like believable gay characters.
Yeah, we have gay characters that are gay, and that's all they are.
Right. And the truth is, like, as a gay person, I really value when I see characters that, like, I don't think it's bad to talk about identity or to focus on that, but the truth is, like, looking at my life isn't just about my identity either. Like, I have many different aspects to it. So I think that should also be indicative of like the actual characters themselves too. They should reflect that. So, well, I'm not seeing any questions, so I think. Oh wait, Ellen Mothra Leo in my fanfic is pansexual. Does that count? I would.
I guess. I haven't read it.
In my for my stance, like if you want to make their identity center stage, as long as you can explain and elaborate on their history so your audience can understand the context of like their journey, then I think that makes it personally better. And I know that that's something that I've done incorrectly in my own prior stories, because in my own prior stories I just threw in gay characters and was like, this character has a crush on this character and they love each other so much, and I really didn't elaborate on like their journey or like their life as a whole, like how that kind of plays into the grand scheme of things. So Ellen, do you have any parting words?
Actually, if I may, I have a funny little story to end the stream on. So I got this little guy the other day.
Oh,
he's so adorable. I got him actually close for his retail price. He released last July, and these things tend to just either skyrocket in price or disappear. But when I opened the box, I was accosted with such a strong scent of old person.
Oh no.
Like, oh no, is this a cursed figure that came from the house of a dead person in Japan? I believe it is Soshingeki. It is based on his look in 1971.
Yes, which is a rarity, truthfully, because you don't
Yeah.
find many figures or figurines that reflect that. But I love it.
Yeah. So I should get going. We
Yeah, I
are
should
going
probably get
to finish.
going too. My friends, thank you for joining us for this. We've had so much fun doing these live streams, and I think we should definitely do them again in the future because it's just fun getting to interact, getting to hang out with each other. So, again, Ellen, thank you for doing this with me as well. You are a rock star.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I managed to get my math right and not miss this because I confused 1700 with 7 o'clock for the reunion stream.
Iggy, this is the last one. This is the last one, unfortunately.
Mhm.
All right, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day or evening if you were on another side of the planet than me. Mwah. Enjoy. Join Kaiju Galaxy. Subscribe to our channel. Click like. Subscribe to our other channels as well. And have a good day. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.